Hey everyone, we're here with Jeffrey Slater and Kate Chiffey-Gray, and I'm so excited because today what we're going to be talking about is adapting to an online space. In this current climate, it's causing a lot of stress around how we're going to do business if we can't do it in person. So today we're going to be talking about all of the different aspects around that space. So thank you so much for you two for joining us.
So welcome.
Absolutely. It's great. Perfect timing right now at this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you guys just one at a time just run through, maybe start with you, Jeffrey, just run through your background and how you got into the position you are at the moment?
Sure. The brief version is I've worked with over 1 million people from 13 different countries, and I'm a best-selling author in leadership and transformational spaces as well. The majority of my speaking was on sales and marketing, and then also I've had the privilege of sharing the stage with people like Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, and Dr. DeMartini, and many more. And I've been doing this for 15 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you, Kate?
Yeah, so my background is I started an amazing business with zero capital 3 years ago, and we hit 7 figures in 18 months. It was like the 5th business that I ever had. And I've also been able to work with Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, and I've been really lucky to work alongside Jeff now for about 3 or 4 months.
Well, you guys just mentioned like my panel of favorite people to listen to, hey? So cool. So excited to have you on and to talk about your expertise and to share this information with the world today. We're in a point of crisis at the moment, and we're so lucky to have people like you donating your time to be able to share your knowledge and your experience and your perspective on this situation as well. If we could just start with messaging to an online market. Kate, I think you wanted to have a big talk about this.
Yeah, so messaging is a way that our audience can contextualize who we are and how we can help them. If someone can't contextualize who we are and how we can help them, they're not going to buy from us. So the messaging is the wording that we use, it's the imagery that we use, it's the overall theme or the philosophy behind the message. It's how we present ourselves through language and imagery to an online market. So if that messaging is off, so for example, one of my mentors, Scott Oldford, who is incredible at marketing, and I'm so grateful to work with him, he has this idea that there's like a level of consciousness of a buyer, and he's going to release a program next year going into this. But if you're speaking to an audience that is, say, for example, really intuitives and they're creatives, but you're using fear-based language, then you're not actually going to have success getting that audience to buy. So messaging is about understanding not what you want to say in order to make the message clear, but what they need to hear in order to make the message clear. So there has to be a match between the way you present the information and how they hear it. And often people go wrong because they're like, oh, well, I want to say it this way, and this is the word I like, but that might actually be repelling your audience rather than drawing them in.
Yeah, is that an example of this is when you get to that website that talks like, we are this, and I do this, and we are this. And it's like, no one really cares what you are.
Yeah.
How does that help me?
Exactly.
And, is that sort of what you're talking about here?
Exactly. And so for example, Scott said a hilarious thing. I was with him before we all got shut down and locked in our countries in February this year in the States. And he was joking around, and he's like, if I land on a landing page and there's a countdown timer, he's like, 1, I know I've made more money than the person that has the landing page, and 2, I won't buy because they're fear tactics. And he's somebody that is such a visionary and a creative. He's not motivated to buy from fear. Now, neither is better or worse, but if somebody is more in a reactive kind of way of living, if they're in fear, if they're in lack, and if they're in scarcity, me going 3 spots are left, or there's 48 hours left before, this is never going to be sold again, they're going to be motivated. So understanding what motivates your person to buy and then messaging that through your imagery and your language is essentially the fastest way to get people to buy from you, the more accurate it is.
So how do we go about understanding who our target market is? And yeah, I think that's a really valid question. And so, I know a lot of businesses are like, oh, that's great, but how do I know what they want?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the way you typically can do this is you want to identify 7 problems that your clients continually say in the language that they say it. They might say, let's say you're a coach or consultant and you work with people on building their businesses. Okay, they would say, how do I deal with these current challenges? So you don't want to come back and go, I help you deal with and adapt to new challenges. You say, I help coaches and consultants adapt to these current challenges. You use the language they say. So to be specific, identify 7 other key problems. Identify the language they use by interviewing your types of clients that you really enjoy working with. Go interview the clients that you enjoy working with, not the ones you don't, because you'll get more of those. And then identify and ask them what their core problems are. Reverse engineer their keyword language, and that's your problems. And from there, you can actually start making videos. Hey, this is Jeff. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to pivot in these challenging times. So you actually come up with the language they're using and reverse engineer it back. That's the first key. Second key is the testimonials that you use. You want it to be in a mirror reflective of the clients you actually want to attract. For example, if you want to work predominantly with women, 70% of the audience is women, you don't put a bunch of male testimonials. If you want to work with predominantly, let's say, men aged 35 to 45, you don't put 55-year-old men as your examples. Number 2, so your testimonials hit that. Third example of this would be making sure your colors actually match. So, for example, if you want to attract more men, you won't use lots of pinks, right?
Yeah.
And so you know what colors are resonant. So that's a way to do it.
Yeah. So I saw Kate's website, and it's black background with pink buttons and highlights and stuff like that. So, but I was actually attracted to that. No.
Yeah. No, that's the paradox. Yep.
Yeah. Well, my brand's about duality. My brand's about playing in both worlds, a lot of business and the world of spirituality. So therefore, I want to present something that shows a paradox. There's an opposite. It's confusing. Nobody can figure me out, and that's what needs to be represented. What happens is if you successfully actually present that, you will draw in people that are of the same philosophy, the same psychology, have the same values, and they're obviously the easiest people to work with. So how you find them is 1, getting really clear, everything that Jeff said. 2, understanding who do you want to work with. Often people, they'll come to me and they're like, oh,
I just need your clients.
I just need your client.
It's who you want to spend time with.
And they'll be like, oh, well, my current clients are this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, well, do you actually want to work with them? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, let's get clear on who you want to work with.
If you had to work for free for somebody, would you want to hang out with the person? You want people to fun.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And one other thing Scott used to say, I think it was Scott. I don't know. I've had so many mentors. I think it was Scott. If it's Scott, crediting this to you. 1, figure out who they are. So everything that Jeff said, number 1, figure out that. 2, figure out what their attention is on. Mm-hmm. So right now, our clients, their attention is on the pandemic.
And getting online.
Yep.
So therefore, all of our content, everything we speak about is speaking about getting online and how is the coronavirus impacting your business, because that's what their attention is on. So if we were now talking about, I don't know, creating a life of freedom and hitting 7 figures, no one's going to be interested.
Or how to put on live events.
Yeah.
Live event coming up soon.
How do you do live events with 150 people in the room minimum? Yeah, people would miss it.
Yeah, no. How to make a business out of running cuddles. Not gonna work. Yeah, so it's about understanding what's their attention on, and now how can you speak about what their attention is on, relevant to what you offer.
If you don't speak to where your client's attention is, they won't listen. They're always asking what's in it for me, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's a key way to actually speak to your clients. So your emails need to be speaking that way. Your videos, your services should handle their core problems. Yeah.
Cool. And is there any tools online that help us better understand or get for instance, I think with Facebook, you're able to look at demographics and figure these sort of things out. Is there any other tools like that, or is that something that you would recommend?
I think Facebook advertising is great. I mean, you can go through the audience builder and not actually advertise and collect data as well. I mean, side note, right now, Facebook advertising is the lowest I've seen it in 6 years. It's 40% less because I think 3 times the attention is now online. So if you're going to actually Facebook advertise, now would be the time.
Yeah.
However, there's so many people that do it wrong. So please make sure that you know what you're doing, or you get someone who can help you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I find actually talking to people is the best way.
Yeah, making notes.
Is just literally I'll create a program, I'll find 10 people I think are perfect for it, and then I'll just jump on a call with them and ask them if they'd be interested in the program. Is this what their attention is on? Would they buy it? If so, how much would they pay? So just actual connection, intimacy, communication, talk to people, ask them what they want. That's best market research.
I'll add to that of what you're sharing is that when you start selling your products or services, and then you listen to the feedback. You can adjust your message to market. It's some people literally go out and it's Christmas and they're wrapping their services in happy birthday paper, and everyone's confused. So you got to know what season you're in, and you got to speak to the season. And when you actually do start selling is when you get the real feedback. Because you can hypothesize all day long, but you've got to actually make a product or service and start selling it. But oftentimes people do analysis paralysis, and they're always trying to get it perfect before they ever begin.
That's a big thing I know a lot of people are facing, and they're not used to quickly adapting and changing, and the mobility there. So because they're used to doing everything the same way, and it just made profit non-stop, and then something like coronavirus hits us, and we're like forced into this place of change, and it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. So do you have any tips around that of how people can feel more empowered around that and take action sooner?
Yeah, so I think letting go of the idea everything has to be perfect. So my mentor made $3 million selling a Google Doc. I'm just going to say that again.
Using a Google Doc.
$3 million using a Google document.
It wasn't pretty, wasn't perfect, just a Google Doc.
There was spelling mistakes, there was grammar errors. The point being, like, the reason I'm using this as an example is one of my biggest assets, but it also has a shadow element, but we can talk about that later, is that I will just keep going and I'll just keep pivoting, and I'm versatile and I have no attachment if something doesn't work. I will keep trying until it works. There's
no failure, there's just feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no failure, just feedback. That's it. So keep going until the feedback mirrors actually what you want. Put your feelings aside. Warren Buffett said somebody who can't control their emotions can't control their money. It's the same in business. Our feelings need to remain neutral. And I know it's difficult right now because people are in scarcity because of what's happened. And I understand that. But the more you can cultivate a place of presence and act more like a Shaolin monk rather than a neurotic person worried that they're going to run out of money, the more success that you're going to have. So park your feelings, stay centered, and then just be willing to let go if something doesn't work. The more time you waste, the less success you'll have. Yeah.
There's people listening to this that maybe they might listen to this 6 months from now when the whole coronavirus, as the panic has actually dissipated. Then they're going to be into economic challenges, which is the mass economy. There's always going to be something, is my point. And are you willing to be like water, like Bruce Lee, be fluid or rigid? And the entrepreneurs that are willing to be like water, fluid, they end up winning.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. For sure. I just want to jump over, because I know a specialty of yours, Jeff, is leadership. When you are someone who is able to, and agile to change to the market conditions, or if something's not working, you change quickly. I believe that's one of the reasons why I've been able to build and automate my businesses. But what I always faced was challenges from staff who were rigid, and they couldn't adapt and change as fast as I could. And they just kept saying, "Oh, here we go again, changing again." It's like, but that wasn't working, so we're changing. So how do we go about leading a team through this period when they're so rigid also, and they're not willing to change?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Well, ultimately, it's our responsibility as leaders to take full responsibility for what's working or not working in our company. And so we always have to reflect on that. And oftentimes leaders will blame their staff for a lack of results, when ultimately it's always on us. First thing. Second thing is, after having consulted many companies in this domain, there's a guy that started the Dollar Beer Club. Yeah. Actually. Yep. And I had a conversation with him, and he goes, the way I look at it is like this with my team. If you told me that that I was required to fire everyone on my team, who would I fight to keep? And then I'll keep them. And anyone he wouldn't fight to keep, he let them go. This is a great opportunity right now to let people go, because I'm originally from Silicon Valley, which is the United States, and originally born in Hawaii, then moved to Silicon Valley. I come from an extremely entrepreneurial family. My father was the first co-founder and CEO of Odesk, which is now Upwork. So that's all I know. And I can tell you that, having grown up in the States, that when people don't perform and they're not fluid and they don't have an entrepreneur mindset, they're gone. Now, when you come into Australia right now, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different culture. Is that people that don't perform tend to sometimes can stick around.
We have different laws.
Different laws.
Yeah,
so we're a little more, I guess you could say, different in the States around stuff like this. They don't perform, they're gone. And it might sound cutthroat, but actually, I think there's a midpoint between what the States does and here. I think it's both polarized too much in one direction. Mm-hmm. My point is this, is that if I wouldn't fight for them, I don't want to keep them. Second thing is, when you're going to rip the Band-Aid off, do it hard. Don't, like, if you have 5 people in your organization that you want to actually let go of, but you start off really slow, what you actually want to do is get rid of all 5. And now you have the perfect HR reason to actually do that. I know some organizations right now had a conversation that literally are like, okay, this is my window, out. Yeah. So that's the second thing. Third thing is that in an organization, even though they're not actually entrepreneurs, what you want to make sure is in your company is entrepreneurial spirit, mm-hmm. which is ability to adapt. So if they can't handle a few of those changes, they're probably not right. And it's time to let them go. If they're not able to hold a vision for your company during this time, let them go. Perfect timing during these times of chaos. You'll find out what people are made of. Mm-hmm. And I think the last thing as a leader is to instill certainty in your team. Mm-hmm. Right now, this is when we rise up. If you're not willing to rise up, you're probably not going to make it. But if you are, this is what I'm actually looking for. And if you do this, and as we do this together, my commitment to you is that you'll be able to stay, we'll get through this, and we'll rise and we'll be a stronger company from it.
Yeah, totally. I really love what you said there. And about ripping the Band-Aid off quickly and firing all 5 at once or whatever it is, I think that's really great, because if you do it one at a time, it's instilling fear in the staff. They see one at a time dropping out. It's like, oh my God, I could be next. You know?
Exactly. And we need to instill confidence. And the other thing is if you want to attract top talent, you gotta actually fire the ones that are weak. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the top talent will actually be proven to leave. Exactly. If you want the difference between $1 million organization, a $100 million organization, and billions of dollars organization is they hired people that weren't average. They were spectacular. They were better at hiring people. They were smarter than the leaders they were actually brought in. So, but spectacular people do not hang around groups when there's a couple weak links. Those weak links will kill your organization. Mm-hmm. Other thing is, as a leader, it's our responsibility to be willing to have fierce conversations. I once had a conversation with my father. I had to have a very tough conversation with it when I was dealing with an investment with a couple key principles in it, and I had to deliver some pretty bad news. And he said, "Son, your willingness to have a fierce conversation or a tough conversation is directly proportional to how much success you'll have in your life. You want to lead your company, you better be willing to have tough conversations."
Totally, with clients and staff,
100%,
and suppliers.
Yep.
Yep. No, love that message there. Thank you for sharing that. Coming back to the online space now, so we've talked about understanding our customer, putting the right message out there, finding that person or those people, or growing that ideal customer. Would you talk about, if we had a business that had customers for 10 years, is there a way that we can start to get rid of the ones that are causing pain to us at the moment and focus on more of the type that are the 20% of the ones we want to keep?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of clients or customers, right?
Yeah.
Can you give me more information? Is it a product-based business? Is it service-orientated?
Yes, it depends.
So let's talk about person-to-person interaction. So it might be a cafe, it might be trade business, it might be anything that has that person-to-person interaction. Because what we're going to talk about after this is how do we start to move in those businesses into the online space where we have a lot more control over who we can bring in and target our marketing to.
Amazing. I fire people as clients if I don't like working with them. I'm really strict, because what I let in, I get more of.
Now, the concern that they might be thinking is, but then I lose revenue. But actually, can you talk about how it works the opposite?
Yeah, so what happens is, I'm going to talk a little bit metaphysical, not even call it metaphysical, let's call it science. Let's call it quantum physics. Let's call it Dr. Dispenza, right? So whatever we energetically make a stand for in our life, we will create more of that. So if you're energetically letting in things that you don't want consistently, you're going to get more of it.
If you want some proof, just look at the dating world. If you keep saying yes to, let's say, your man, to women that aren't at the standard you want, you're going to keep getting more of those. If you're a woman and you keep dating men that aren't at the standard, you get more of them. You have to learn to say no to the universe. The universe is always going to throw options at you, and you got to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And the ones you say yes to, you get more of. Very simple.
Yeah, we all know the people we're talking about there, and they just can't get out of that relationship or that type of relationship over and over and over. Yeah.
I think also
There's your proof. There's your site.
Also, like I'm gonna bring it back to like messaging and the way that you present your business, whether it's a cafe, whether you're a removalist, how you present your brand and the philosophy and the values that you stand for will repel specific people. So make sure they're repelling the ones you don't want to work with. So if you're shifting the way that you're presenting your business, make sure it's in alignment with the people you want to bring in. So the top 3 values in my brand is rebellion, freedom, and truth. So I'm going to get and everything I do, right down to what I speak about, right down to the colors on my website, everything it represents those. Now, someone who's a people pleaser or love and light isn't going to be attracted to my business. So by positioning myself in a way, and it doesn't matter what company it is, it literally can be a removalist, it could be an electrical business, a plumbing business. It's all about what is your philosophy, what do you stand for, what's your why as a company, Simon Sinek, and then really let that be embodied in your business, whether it's bricks and mortars or online, and then you'll repel those you don't want to work with, or the ones that are there will fall away naturally, and then more new ones will come in that you love.
Before we go on to moving into the online space and how do we generate leads online, have you got a couple of examples? Because I know UK and probably you, Jeff, the last week has just been chaos with calls with people, all different types of businesses. Mm-hmm. So have you got some examples for us in terms of how people are putting out the right relevant messages or some of the advice you've been giving some companies around COVID-19 now? So like change your messaging. At the moment you're saying discounted donuts, whatever. How do we change the messaging? What's some examples that you've been talking through this week?
Yeah. So for a lot of the people that we work with, a lot of them are online. And a lot of them are selling high ticket. So our specialty and what we've really worked really well at and have done we're very successful in is selling high ticket. So things from $20,000 to $100,000 for a service.
And when we say high ticket, it means like they're actually working with us or to build a brand and to have proximity so they can expand themselves online and offline, and they can make 7 figures plus doing that.
Yeah, either like
it's like a high-end membership.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we've done really well in. So most of our clients are doing the same thing. Well, here's the deal though. The market right now isn't going to really want to pay $100,000 for proximity. And it's not that they don't want to, it's that they feel they can't because of what's happening collectively.
Yep.
So what we've really done well with our clients and ourselves is we've pivoted and we've created a low ticket item. And a low ticket is something anywhere from $50 a week to, $200 a week, varying opinions. That is a full container of being of service, is providing people with the help, the recession-proofing their business, understanding what stimulus packages there are, understanding how to get online, understanding how to amplify online, access to us, which normally they wouldn't get. Just literally 2 things that we've done which work is 1, that we've changed the price point and made it lower, and 2, we've actually just come from a place of service. That's what's working really well now. Be of service and match the price to what actually people right now feel that they can invest in.
Yeah, beautiful. Cool. So
I'll add that around the opportunity for people. Not everything is. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I work very closely with this company, and they're in the food business. And I really thought that they'd get hurt, but actually, what happens in these challenging times is sales actually go triple in their industry, and they deem themselves as essential, and they're in Woolies. And they're in the big things. And actually what they've done is they've actually doubled down. And so they're actually making more money right now. Wow. And positioning, and they're an Australian company, and the positioning now is we're an Australian brand, we hire Australian, we work with Australians, and we will get through this. So that's going to be part of the the adoption that's needed as the positioning for powering through, because people want to see Australian brands getting through it. Plus they're all organic and they're doing very, very well. And it's neat to see. So for everyone here that's bought into, and it's fine, this whole crisis thing, this is your biggest opportunity. So just because we're talking about handling crisis doesn't mean you need to make less or even just survive. It actually means you can thrive.
Yeah, we've got clients that are having the best sales weeks of their life.
It's important we get that in there because everyone's buying into that. We're all just all we need to do is if we could just not starve, we'll be fine. No, let's crush it.
People are buying and they're investing now because they have time. but they're investing in things that are actually going to help them find stability within their businesses.
And that's the kind of work we do. And even in our 6-month lower ticket item thing is stability, certainty, and thrive. We move from scale up. We move from surviving, from surviving to scaling.
Yeah, such a good message there, that we can't just fall into what the end-of-line consumer, the person that listens to and consumes the news and believes it, does as well. We are business owners. We have to think of our space as what it is, and the consumers, that's their behaviour. We have to leverage that and make sure that we're making good decisions around that. And like you're saying, positioning ourselves and putting the right messaging out there that supports that and then provides value to those people. So love it.
I'm glad you're saying this. I want to add this to because there are many Australians listening to this. And I come from Silicon Valley, where the first thing we ask ourselves is who in the world are we going to offer our services to? In Australia, the first thing that they often ask is, how do I sell some services and products to other Australians? And if you want to make money globally, you got to think globally. And so what I'm asking of, you're in an online world. You now, whether you are like it or not, we've just moved online, which means your audience is global now.
Massive.
It is not just Australia. So we got to, if you want to we literally have to move online and think globally. And you want to hedge yourself against this economic challenge. Get yourself out of the Aussie dollar. Start getting clients in US dollars. Move those US. What if you had $100,000 a month in US dollars coming in from US clients? Number one, you're diversified among countries, client base. You're diversified among currencies, everything. There's so much opportunity right now.
So now that we're super pumped and we're like, all right, we've got to move our business online and we're going global and we're super pumped about it. So how do we go about generating leads online and getting people to come and get that sort of stuff from you?
That's okay. She's a genius at it.
So there's two ways you can do it. One is there's organic marketing. Under organic marketing, there are things like online Facebook communities, there are masterclasses, there are webinars. There's an intimacy model where you're like reaching out to people. We actually have a free download called 30-Day Cash Creation, all based on the intimacy model. We're so happy if anyone's listening and they want it. Like we can send it to you and you can send it to them. It's really good. And then you've got your paid. So my specialty is organic, and I built my 7-figure business on organic marketing. I didn't pay a cent for marketing until after I'd hit 7 figures. So right now, anyone that's moving online, unless you have a lot of capital and you have someone that actually knows how to do Facebook marketing, I would stick to actually organic marketing. People are looking for community right now. So depending on your market, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. Building communities on Instagram is next to not possible. So I would stick to LinkedIn and Facebook. Both have group options. And then I'd create, based on what the service is you want to offer, a community. So where you invite people to come in. Each week you do a training. You be of service.
So an example of that would be do 2 Facebook Lives to the general public every week. Okay. And in this video, I'm going to talk about, and you address the core problems. Then from there, you say, join my group. Okay, and you create a group, a private Facebook group. So then you move them from the public world. It's almost like they're not in your house. They're actually like you're making an announcement to the world, a general announcement to look. I'm looking for these types of people. I'm giving this information away, and then you're making an invitation to come to one of your granny flats at your house. Okay, then they're in the granny flat. Then in the granny flat, you can talk more intimately with them, and then you want to do weekly calls, or not calls, but group Facebook Lives in there to keep nurturing, and then you got
So you need to have a personal brand, and I would just use your personal Facebook page, guys. Right now, business pages aren't unless you're doing paid marketing. Business pages will not get the same amount of traction. I would build a personal brand on my personal Facebook page. Who am I? What am I about? How can I help you? You know, really simple things like make sure your banner on your personal Facebook page depicts who you are and what you do. Make sure your bio depicts who you are and what you do. So when people land on it, they can contextualize how you can help them. And then make sure there's a call to action on your personal Facebook page to join your Facebook community. Once they're in the community, say you're doing, give me a business.
Well, let's just use ours.
Yeah. Okay. So for example, we have a Facebook group called Visionary Entrepreneurs for Global Impact and Change.
And people should join it.
I'll put a link in under this.
And so everywhere they can see that that's what I'm about. So I get people wanting to join that group every day, 3, 4, 5 people I don't know because they've landed on my personal page.
Or they've heard of Facebook Live.
Because my personal content is being spread across the internet, and it's just personal. I'm not paying for it. We're just doing lives. We're writing things. We know what our client's attention is on. We're talking about it, so therefore content becomes viral.
Now, why you might ask why lives and not just putting videos out? It's because the algorithm, somehow Facebook has algorithms that likes live, so it has cheaper, less expensive to bring it out. So keep going.
Yeah. So we're talking about selling in times like these. How to market in times like
pivoting
these.
online.
Pivoting. How to handle crisis. Entrepreneurial mindset.
What do you do with clients when during these times?
All that stuff, and then there's always a mention of the Facebook group. So then people join the Facebook group where we give training every week, every Monday
10 a.m. We get on and we do something like this. We train. We're always giving. I had the privilege of doing a campaign many years ago with Frank Kern, and the highest paid internet copywriter in the world. And we ran this campaign. I was sitting after I had surf, and I said, "Hey Frank, what's the number one? The number one thing that if you could share with people that's most important?" He goes, "Online business is a little bit like meeting people face to face. They have an emotional bank account, and you always want to make deposits into their emotional bank account because oftentimes people if you wouldn't go up to somebody you don't meet and go, hey, you want to join my webinar? They're like, who are you? You never give me anything. Hey, do you want to buy my thing? No. But if you've been nurturing them and making deposits in their emotional bank account, that means giving in your group continuously. That means giving online. If they've watched, there's a stat that Kate, you know that stat. They watch 1 hour every. What is it?
I'm pretty sure it's 10 hours for $1,000.
Oh, it's 1 hour.
Is it 1 hour?
Yeah, it's 1 hour. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's
10.
10 hours?
10 hours. Yeah, they have to consume 10 hours of your content to spend $1,000.
Oh, yeah, it is 10.
Yeah.
So essentially, the rule is they have to watch and consume 10 hours of your content before they invest $1,000. So if you're giving that content in the group and they consume 10 hours of your work, saying, would you like to join my webinar? They're like, of course. And then from there, you can offer more services.
It won't work if you don't know what your client's attention's on.
Exactly.
So if you're going in there and doing lives about, gumboots and you're running a business Facebook group, it's not going to work. So your ability to know your client and their psychology and what motivates them is whether this be successful or not. The model is that every month you will offer a service or a product to sell. And the reason that it works is because you've made emotional deposits over the month. Every week you do a training. So you've basically given a know, like, and a trust, and you've warmed them up. They may be cold when they come into your Facebook group, but after consuming you and being with you for a month, they're going to definitely be at least warm.
Yep.
So then when you offer something, the chances of them buying, the longer they're in there, increases. So it's literally...
I want to add to that. Yeah. It's called CTAs, call to action. So they're in the group, and then every month, like Kate said, that you go and you make an offer. That's called a CTA. Most people never make CTAs. They don't make enough of them. So every month, they may not buy that month, but as long as you're giving, you do another CTA.
Yeah, it's a 4-week sales cycle in a Facebook community, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So every month you do something, and your leads are in the Facebook group. They're your leads. You've warmed them up. You've nurtured them. You've made emotional deposits.
It's like a
giving
community.
Value. And if they don't buy, no problems. They probably will invite their friend in who might buy. So it's literally taking the offline kind of idea of like events, and it's putting it into an online community.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love what you said about 10 hours for every $1,000. I know everyone is sitting back right now going, I don't even have 10 hours of content on my website.
We can talk about that, actually.
Yeah.
First of all, that means you need a Facebook group. That means you need to nurture. Persistence is what wins in this game, guys. You want to be online? If you go post one blog and expect it to happen, it's not going to happen. You go do one live, it's not going to happen. You need to be consistently showing up. The cycle is probably 3 or 4 months of persistence to put yourself out there, but you must start. Second thing is there's a thing called creating content, or like Gary Vee says, like she's worked with Gary Vee in his masterminds, and he talked a lot about. You want to share about that?
Yeah, he says document, don't create. So right now, if we think about what's happening, we're in what do they call it? It's not isolation. They've given it another fancy name.
Stay at home.
Stay at home. So
maybe no. In Nevada. I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but basically we're not supposed to leave our house.
Home arrest. Oh no, stay home. Sorry.
Yeah.
So right now people are going to be curious and they want to be a little voyeuristic. Like there's a reason why reality TV has like completely like taken off and the Kardashians are famous. It's because people are generally curious. So right now is an opportunity, if you're at home, is to not just create content, but document your life, document your experience, widen the lens, let people see what's happening, let people see how you're dealing with things. Actually, that is what they want more than you just teaching them a 3-point step to selling.
Yeah.
They want to know how you handle firing 5 of your staff because your business has taken a massive downturn. Document that experience. That's what will support people. And Gary's huge on that.
So once we've documented, do we need to use that information in a certain way? Like, how do we use that documentation of that information to turn that into better opportunities?
Yeah, there's
omnipresence.
There's a couple of different ways. You can push it out organically. You can depends what it is. If it's a video, you can like upload it to YouTube. Don't share YouTube links onto Facebook. They hate it. It really like lessens your ability to get views. Upload it organically onto Facebook. Put it in your Facebook group. Maybe chop it up into small snippets, like 30 seconds. Then pump out those 30-second ones. You could then get a writer to maybe like write different amazing quotes you did during firing people.
I'll share an example.
You're batching.
Of batching.
That's paid.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think this is a really important point. If this information that we're sharing with you feels beyond you or too hard, or I don't really want to do this, you kind of like don't have a choice if you're going to be online. Like learning this stuff, if you're like, oh, I need to know a lot more, you need to spend time in this domain, or basically you're going to be basically a dinosaur online. So it's really important that like they can not like me for saying that, but the market will chew them up anyway. So I'd rather be the one that tells them that. So let's be really blunt. Now let me give you an example of actually a piece of content and what's possible with a piece of content, and what we do with it. So let's say we have, like, we're doing this video right now, right? And we might take this video, we'll send it to our writer team. They'll transcribe the video word for word, okay? A transcription team. Then what they're gonna do is they'll take that transcription, and then I'll send it to another part of my team, and they'll pull out maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs that are interesting. They'll then be used in random quotes, potentially. That'll be matched with the photo, with about 150 photos that we have already, and they'll match it with the photos. Then there might be a 3-minute reel out of this that's interesting, that they'll cut out and then make it a short reel, which will then get published and put in a private Facebook group as a 3-minute giveaway with one of the quotes that we said already, that my writer team matched with it. Then what happens with the same video that we created is a minute-long snippet will be then posted and reformatted for an Instagram story that will automatically be batched and put up. And then maybe we'll take a screenshot of this whole thing with the lights, camera, action, even the dog, and that shot will then be put on Instagram story on Kate's and tagged to me. This is 1-hour content repurposed in a million different ways.
I think that's a bit overwhelming for people.
No, I think that was great. That was step by step. Do you know what you can do, listeners? You can pause this video and go back and listen to that last minute again and again until you can do it.
I want to keep it, like, there is a simple version, but if you're sitting there going, that's overwhelming, yeah, you know what's more overwhelming? When you can't pay the bills and you're missing the greatest opportunity of your life.
What if they can't afford a writer?
And if you can't afford alternatives. Okay, you can afford a writer. Go to Revit. You can literally just transcribe it.
There's an alternative.
Yep.
Revit.
Yeah, but I think it's Rev. Yeah.
Rev.
You can get the whole thing transcribed. There are people
Rev.com.
starving for work right. Fiverr. Graphics.
Video editing, Fiverr, or learn iMovie.
Look, the people listening to this can either have results or they can have excuses. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get on this and you don't learn this stuff, and you don't need to know everything. This is the biggest thing I've learned in leadership. Most people are always asking, how do I do something? So the person that's listening to this is, well, this is overwhelming. I don't know how to hire someone on Fiverr. I don't know how to repurpose. I can't even edit a video. I can barely use PowerPoint. I did 200 presentations a year on average.
You can barely use your phone.
I can barely use my phone. But I don't ask myself how to do anything. I ask who. Who do I need to know? So instead of asking how, I want the leaders on this call to start asking who. Who do you need to know? A writer. Who do you know? An editor. Who do you need to know? Someone that can post online. Mm-hmm. It's who.
Yeah. And there's a lot of inexpensive economical ways now that you can do it. You don't have to have everything that, like Jeff said, that we have. You can do it really inexpensively.
Yep.
And it's a smarter way to pump out a lot of content.
Absolutely.
You can do a lot of the chopping of the videos. If you were to make your Facebook Live, you can download that copy and then you can take it, send it to your phone, and then you can use apps that you get scroll along and split it. That's all you need, and then you can chuck it up. Then you can send it on Fiverr so someone to deconstruct it and write something about it, like a blog or whatever, and then get that. And there's Kate going right now. She's doing an Insta story.
Insta story.
Documenting. That's documenting.
That's documenting. Yeah. I can give an example.
Cool.
And it's easy. Like, I remember being like, I worked with Grant Cardone one-on-one. And I remember being in his office and he's like, people always say they don't have time to do promotions. He's like, look at this. And he like, literally while I was there, he's like, sign up to my event, text this number, 04 da-da-da-da-da, put an image, dude. It took him 30 seconds. You have time.
Let's do one of like this real quick and then just the dog's face.
The dog's face, yeah, at the end.
He's like, yeah.
Got it. So I'd love to know, so once we've generated leads, people are going, I love this content, this is so good. I love what you guys are presenting, I'm learning so much. How do I go to that next level? Is that moving now into a sales space for you, Jeff, where you get an inquiry or you get a message and it says, how can I do more with you guys? Now, how do we go about that sale to make that sale?
It depends on the investment.
It depends on. It all depends on how vested they are to talk with you. So if they paid money to build a roadmap with you, then they're a little more serious. If someone has just signed up for a free 15-minute call, they're not as bought in. Okay, but if they applied to have a conversation with you, they're a little more bought in because they just invested a little more time.
Yep.
So there needs to be steps for them before they reach you. The more they kind of do, then the more bought in they are. Whether it's money, questions, or money, or even a small investment. So it all depends. But I will share this is a typical process could go like this. You deliver content, okay? Then you say I'm willing to do a 15-minute call to find out if we can even help you, okay? And you use Calendly, you book it. Here's a easy script. Hey, it's Jeff here, and thanks for being on time. Book the time, okay? I have one purpose on this call is to find out if I can even help you, and if I can't, I'll send you a place. I'll send you somewhere that can. Okay. I only have so much time because there's other calls booked in. But let's just get started. Does that work for you? Cool. Next question. First question is, just wondering why me? Why did you call me? That lets the person talk to you about why they do it. Second question would be, why right now? Well, right now we want to capitalize and pivot on our market. Third question would be, well, what are your current challenges? My current challenges right now is I don't know how to get online. I don't know how to automate my services, and I also need to learn to sell. Okay, third. Okay, great. And what do you want? What I want, and you ask them what they want. What I want is to make more money in this crisis, and to capitalize on it as well, and serve more people. Second thing I want is to get myself online and automated in systems, and third thing I want is to scale. Great. Okay, and then you regurgitate what they say they want. So what you want is this, this, and this. They say yes, and then you say, is there anything else? A few more things, and you say, the good news is I can help you. This is what we do. Okay, this is what Kate and I do, and we do this, like we literally do this in our sleep. This is what we want to do. And so the next step is, if it's something you'd like us to help you in, is we should do a 90-minute call. It's $500, fully refundable. Let's talk about where you are to where you want to go. At the end of that conversation, if you don't get the value, we'll give you $500 back and pay you $250 for wasting your time.
Yeah,
that's the sell. Then from there, they can move to something else. You can use that model just about anywhere.
In terms of moving, let's think creatively now. I know you're working primarily with online businesses, but for those businesses that are wanting to now move from a bricks and mortar face-to-face company to an online business, what are some strategies or suggestions you can provide to get them feeling confident enough and empowered to go and do it?
I have some ideas, and I'll share some examples, and I'm sure you do.
Yeah, you show yours first.
Okay, so there's a retail store down the street from us. He's a genius. He absolutely loves organic food. He cares about every product that goes into his store. I mean, he is like a genius. Like, he's a wealth of knowledge, right? I go in there, he's like, oh, you have this element, you do this, do this, do this. And I've been telling him for like the last 6 months, you have to get online. Things you could reach more people, and then this whole thing started. I said, come up with one product that you think your market wants. What's in your store? What's selling the most? Now, I want you to stock up on that, double down on that, and if you can find your own manufacturing of that, then do it. Okay? And I want you to get online and become a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, because the new currency is not, this currency system, who knows, might just die. It almost seems intentional, by the way. Maybe the new currency is wisdom. Okay? And let's say the new currency is wisdom. So essentially, the best space to be in right now is actually to move from brick and mortar to education with a brick and mortar product. So what I see is this retailer, he picks the one product or two products, and then he's an educator in the space of health health and fitness and immunity and those things. Educate, works with us to build his online platforms, everything else. And then he starts sharing education, he starts offering this product and service. That's the first area, is what in your brick and mortar business could you actually move inventory and bring it online, and then make the world your audience, not just your little shop.
I think with this as well, like that example you gave, I know a lot of people was like, oh, but if everyone's doing that, it's not going to be any space. But there are so many products out there, and for you to go, like, there can be so many people out there doing all different sorts of things. There's so much opportunity right now for you guys to go and do that.
Here's what I would say to people that say, but Jeff, there's so much competition. I would say, well, you're right. Then you should just give up. You're good. Have fun. Or you could say, there's so much competition. And that means, see, I don't like going into markets where there's no competition. It actually doesn't validate it. Okay? There's a thing, and this is a bad metaphor, but it's in war. It's literally like when they used to take over countries, the one that were most successful was literally, if they just send in the ground soldiers immediately, it's a problem. But what they do is they send drones over to identify where all the anti-aircraft guns are. Then they identify those then they send another fleet in, and then they go shoot the anti-aircraft guns. Second thing. Then they send in the troops. If you're first to market, that's not necessarily good. You want competition. Number two is most people don't invest in proximity. They don't invest in working with people like you in these programs, people like Kate. Very small percentage do. And when they do, they get the upper hand, because the areas that are going to kill your business are the areas you don't know that you don't know. And when you work with people like us that have actually done it, built it, we are handling the areas that they don't know, have the resources to actually point you in the right direction, so you save time.
Yep.
And then you have the advantage.
Yeah. And all those people that are feeling like, oh, no, I can't do this, I haven't been experienced enough, I need to be 80, and have all of those years of experience, there's still new businesses coming out now who know nothing about that product that you want to be expert in. So, yeah, great opportunity for everyone right now. What about in terms of an e-commerce space rather than expert space? E-commerce is another opportunity.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, providing it's actually selling something that people's attention is on right now, like
survival knives.
Like
toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
So there's big thing now.
Hand sanitizer.
Oh my God, baby wipes.
Baby wipes.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually. Did you know that there was like a huge increase in number of knife sales? Like that went up through the roof.
Wow.
You know?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, through the roof. They can't even keep them in stock. Like things are crazy. Like,
all the preppers.
The
those preppers
crazy.
getting those knives.
Yeah.
So providing you actually have created an e-commerce store that is reflective of the needs of the market right now, yes.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell, I don't know, like, I'm not sure, hair extensions right now online that you have to go to the hairdresser for,
You're
probably
dead.
not a good
Probably
idea.
just shut
Maybe
down now.
You should pivot.
There's I'm not going to give up, and there's being stupid.
Yeah, there's a difference between perseverance and stupidity. Just make sure that you're on the perseverance side, not the stupidity side.
Yeah, because you can be right, but it doesn't matter if you're right. The market's right.
The market's always right.
Yep, totally. And that's what we're talking about adapting. Like, don't hold on to that. No, this is my idea. I've worked so hard for this for so long. I'm not going to change. That's going to kill you in business.
Yeah, it's gonna kill you because you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
Like without cash, your business is dead.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how good your idea is. If nobody's buying it, you don't have any money. You don't have a business.
Oftentimes, the smartest people, are very committed to being smart.
The work. Yeah.
And they're very committed to being smart and having the identity of being smart, and they're smarter than the market, but they go broke.
Jeff, just before we finish up, with communication in a period like this, I know this is one of your specialties. can you just run over how communication is one of the most important things that we need to make sure that we're doing in order for these things that we just talked about to become a reality?
Sure. Oftentimes people think communication is just about talking. But actually, communication is not a message to market match. Mm-hmm. Our ability to communicate is directly proportional to how much success we have. Mm-hmm. The number one place we want to invest in is our communication skills. Mm-hmm. And that means communicating person to person, virtually. It means communicating message to market match. It means how our videos communicating. It means what is our brand communicating. Mm-hmm. People buy from people they trust. Mm-hmm. And a brand is just a promise kept. Our ability to communicate a clear, concise message to our audience builds trust. Mm-hmm. So inherently, our best investment is to increase our ability to communicate on all fronts.
Yeah. Can I share Brandon's quote? Yeah. There's an amazing quote by a guy called Brandon Dawson, who's a super successful entrepreneur. It says, "It's not what you say, it's what they hear."
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's like in relationships too.
Yeah, it's in everything.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. And the way that you put it across, it's not just what the words that you say is nothing without their body language and the energy and everything else that goes along with it. Thank you, guys. Is there any other messages you want to leave before we finish up today?
If you're struggling right now, welcome to entrepreneurship, because as most of you know, you're going to struggle no matter whether there's a coronavirus or not, because it's called being an entrepreneur. Don't get lost in the virus or the pandemic. Just understand that this is just everyday life as a business person, and just keep going.
Keep pivoting.
Keep pivoting.
It will
work. Be like water.
The other thing I'd like to share is I'm really glad there's platforms like this where people can learn this stuff with people like you that are actually bringing experts together. Yeah. It's much needed at this time because it's the entrepreneurs that are in their houses right now. They're going to innovate and actually bring us together versus separate us. The entrepreneurs solve problems. And they need as much resources as possible right now to solve the biggest problem, because we've got a world that looks at what separates us versus what unifies us. Yeah. And we can develop products and services that bring us together. We then get our sovereignty back. So I acknowledge the entrepreneurs. I acknowledge all the tools that support the entrepreneurs. And it's time we actually come together. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Time to collaborate. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.